Axons Unleashed.
G'day everyone, my name's Robbie. Welcome to another episode of Axons Unleashed. Today we've got a very special guest with us. Of course, I've got my offsider here, my right-hand man, my right-hand woman, Dan.
Am I the special guest?
No. You're my offsider, mate. But we're joined here by the woman, the myth, the legend herself, Ms. Renee Macartney. Hello.
Hello, it's me. I'm here.
Yes, you are.
He's very well known and certainly not quite part of the furniture at Axon, but certainly one of the more vibrant and sort of out there personalities that we do have in the office, I certainly have to say.
And you can see here, those watching on YouTube, that Renee's got her Axon shirt on. So full disclosure, everybody, Renee is not a external visiting lecturer guest. She works here at Axon. She's one of the awesome team members. And of course, you've come and gone out of Axon. So I guess you've got a really, really interesting story. And what I want to pass on with our listeners is all about why you joined the military. Like, what was like a basic training? How did you find your sort of 3, 4, 5 years in the military? Why you got out? What happened then? You're in the property market now. You've got an investment property and your own home. So you and your amazing other half, Captain Chaos, aka Ruben,
Yes.
And your wonderful dog. Like, you guys are living an awesome life right now. So you got a really, really great story to tell, and I can't wait to get into it. So, yeah, you said that you've listened to season 1 and season 2 of the podcast so far.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, because you obviously know me very well. Mm-hmm. You know Dan, you know Dane, you know Tammy, but did you also discover some things about Axon that you didn't know? And if so, what were some of those more memorable stuff?
Surprisingly, I actually, I think one of my favourite episodes was probably one of the first episodes. I learnt about Tam basically getting kicked out.
She got sacked.
And I didn't know that, even though when I first worked with Axon, it was quite fresh. You guys had kind of just hadn't been around maybe like a year.
We'll get to that. Yep.
And I didn't even know that. And so hearing that, and poor Tam, I'm like, oh wow.
Should have seen us in the car on the way to the podcast studio. Dan was in the car, and then Tamara and I were trying to work out the accurate version, the 3 sides of the story, your version, my version, and what actually happened. And it was rather tense in the car on the way down there. So I'm actually glad we got that one out the way.
Mate, when we got out of the car that day, the rest of the crew were waiting for us there to go and record it. And as soon as everyone got out of the car, they were like, oh shit!
It's going to be one of them.
Happened? What just happened? And
No.
When you do go back, I think that was episode 3, I think, of season 1 or something like that. But when you go back and listen to it, there was certainly still some emotion in the room as we were recording it, and I think it sort of bleeds through, especially into the video as well. It might have been a little bit frosty. There was no slaps on the arm or anything like that going on in that room. It was just very down the line from a business perspective.
What about, no doubt, when we started to interview some of the other people like Jace Cosgrove and Shay from Ramsden Law and Debbie, you would have found that really helpful. But knowing full well that you have used them in your own journey as well.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Obviously, Jace and Deb, I already knew pretty well from working with them, but Shay, I knew from having her as my solicitor for my second build.
Yep.
But I didn't really know her story. I've never really spoken to her that much. So listening to hers really stood out for me. I really loved hearing about the transition that Axon made from the last solicitor to working with Shay. And I just loved her story, how she was like, all right, I'll look after them. Stuff everyone else, they're going to be mine.
And how's it make you feel, mate? Now you're going to be one of those stories. We're about to tell your story as well. So you're going to be forever immortalised on the Axon podcast.
I'm going to be famous.
You're already famous. It's just inside your own lunchbox anyway, inside the Axon lunchbox.
So just ask me. I'm famous.
Exactly.
So you haven't heard this yet, but a few of the episodes for here in season 3 was effectively me telling my story. I had so much feedback from people like, I didn't know you did this, and I didn't know you did this, and this happened with you and Dan. I guess I got a bit of a jolt of inspiration that people loved hearing about behind the scenes, never before heard stories, etc. I went, fuck it, I'll just tell everyone why I joined the military, went to Kapuka, got my head shaved, crying my eyes out, fucking, eventually got my shit together and
got his face caved in.
Or you got fucking punched out one day. So, let's take us back to where did you grow up? You're in the country as well, right? Victoria?
Country Victoria.
Love it.
I was back and forth between a little town called Yarrawonga and Albury Wodonga, if anyone knows where that is.
Of course they do, mate.
Bloody Latchy.
The old border community, mate.
Yeah. So I grew up, my parents were divorced when I was quite young, so I would spend weekends with Dad in Albury Wodonga and then go back to Yarra where I went to school, primary school, and went to high school in Wangaratta.
The Wang.
The Wang.
That's it.
I love doing those taps here in the office. Walk past and give someone a little wang tap.
That's nothing to do with the school that Renee went to, by the way.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. So, I mean, I moved around a lot as a kid, so I was never really in one place for long, one school for long, which is why I think I'm quite good at making friends now. Like, I don't know if that's pretty obvious. I'm pretty easy to chat to because I just grew up having to meet new people all the time and stuff. So,
Why'd you join the military? Tell us that background.
yeah, so my dad was a reservist and he loved it. Like, he tells me Kapooka was one of the best times of his life, and I'm like, why?
In hindsight, or
Yeah.
He was a fucking reservist. Kapooka's like a bloody knife, fork and spoon course for them.
True.
In all seriousness, what year did he go through?
Oh, I have no idea. But I was really young. I was like 10 or 12. So it was a few years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. But he wanted to go full time. His dream was to go full time, but he was just a bit too broken from his old footy days. So they wouldn't, and his eyes just, yeah, he had a lot of stuff that they were like, you can't be full time because you're old and broken. Don't tell him.
We all get there.
Dad, love you for listening.
Yeah, love you.
Yeah. And obviously he had us kids too, so he, that probably didn't help because he knew he'd get posted somewhere and he didn't want to leave us behind. Yeah.
What's your memories of Kapooka?
Good and bad.
What year was this?
2016.
Right.
Let's start with the good ones.
Good ones.
Ones. There's obviously more than one.
Well, the people I met some amazing people who, like, you don't realise how great of a connection you can build within a month, a couple of weeks with somebody.
Yep.
I became really good friends with some people that I still talk to this day. I'd be there in a heartbeat for them. Obviously, I loved all the like the high wire and all the outdoors stuff. I grew up camping, so all that outdoorsy stuff was always fun.
Bayonet assault course?
Yeah,
Out, on guard, all that stuff. Left parry, right parry.
That was fun.
Butt stroke, smash, slash.
I scared myself.
I still remember.
Yeah. I'm impressed because I don't even remember.
People have heard me say this before, mate. I had fucking green pumping through my veins. Some would say it still hasn't left.
It goes to show you remember what you remember, right? But the joint experiences you must have had with those people, Renee, to be able to form such a power of friendship over the first month there must have been just incredible as well.
Yeah, so I was in a bit of a weird situation when I joined Kapooka. I was actually quite fit. Like, I was a personal trainer when I joined. But because they were having
those of you watching YouTube right now, Renee's actually got a power pose going on at the moment. Go back to it, mate. Tell us about how fit you were.
Oh,
Go on.
You've made me nervous now. Yeah, so I joined and I was fit. Like the fitness test wasn't that hard or anything, but at the time they were having so many people come through, and DFR were just like filling up the platoons with too many people. So I actually got back squatted because I got told that I left the beep before the beep test, before the
line.
beep test.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
left the line before the beep. And so I got back squatted because of that. And they happened to a couple of different people. So we got put into this thing called the Ashley platoon. And we got there and like the corporals and we're like, why are you guys here? Like, you're fit, like there's nothing wrong with you. And we're like, yeah, we know. We had to stay there for 4 weeks because it was over Easter and there were no platoons coming in. So I was in Kapooka for an extra month than what I needed to be because of that. But Ashley's was great because we did like PT twice a day. So then I got super fit and then went into the platoon that came through finally, joined that one.
Follow me, mofos.
Yeah. And it was great because then like we smashed through the training because we'd already been there for 4 weeks. Like we were making those beds like
Oh, yeah.
fucking so fast.
Damn.
But it was frustrating because you're watching these people who've been there for like 2 days and like, fucking hurry up, mate. You're so slow. I cannot deal with you right now.
You're like, you're a fucking ninja. How do you know to make this bed so soon? It's called practice.
Yeah. And they also chopped my hair off while I was in Kapooka because
Same here.
The full clipper service for you?
full clip. Nah, they didn't
No.
shave it. I went in, didn't read the rules. I was a bit of a princess and had a bit of blonde balayage going on.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, didn't read the rules, went in, they're like, you can't have that. So they took me to the barber and she chopped it all the way up to like where the dark hair was. And I looked like a lesbian, 100% looked like a lesbian. One of my best friends I made in Kapooka was a lesbian and she used to ask for fun. She would ask people around us, oh, who do you think is the lesbian out of us?
Oh,
Everyone picked me,
right.
always.
You're like, no, man. I like chicks that are
Oh.
good friends of mine, but I bat right-handed, not left-handed.
So that was my experience at Kapooka. I was very happy to leave, but I was very happy with the connections that I'd built, and yeah,
So that was your worst part, was your hair got cut off?
yeah, it was.
Ah, that's not too bad, actually.
And you want
You
to...
don't need hair, as I've learnt later on in life, mate. As mine starts to thin out a bit more, it's
Evidently.
just overrated.
I remember calling my dad the day that they did it, and I was bawling my eyes out. I could barely breathe, and he's like, "Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong?" And my dad's not very emotional, so he's like trying to work out how to handle me.
What
Bawling my eyes
have
out.
they done to my little girl?
Yeah. And I'm like, they cut all me hair off. And he goes, oh, righto, whatever.
right.
He comes to church to see me in a couple of weeks and he looks at me and goes, fuck, they cut your hair off. Yeah.
Yep. Yes, they did.
Do you remember that phone call where I was crying? That's what fucking happened.
Exactly.
He was like 2 or 3 skewies deep down the pub and
Yeah.
just being like, yeah, sure, mate.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Which corps did you go to?
Ordnance.
Ordnance as
Yeah.
admin clerk?
Admin clerk.
Nice. Was that up your alley? Is that what you wanted to do? I get a sense probably not.
Well, initially, I'm going to cop a lot of shit for this too. I wanted to be military police.
You're right, you will cop a lot of shit for that, mate.
Yeah. So when I did all my testing and stuff, but that was what I was aiming for. But DFR were like, if you go in as admin, you'll get in faster, and then you can
you can
transfer.
That old
And
chestnut.
you can change it.
And you
Kapooka.
can
It's
change it
really
later.
easy.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
easy.
It wasn't easy, and it didn't happen.
The old recruiting. Oh, we've got spots for ordnance. We'll just slot you into one of those ones, please. And away you go.
And that's what happened. Yeah.
Oh, everyone who's listening to this is like, oh, they had that happen to them. They're
Yeah.
like, yeah, that happened to my mate as well.
Yeah, I think I know multiple people that this has happened to. Don't believe anything DFR say, ever.
I think Simo tried to join as a dog handler and ended up in bloody artillery down as an air defender as well. So
Yeah, he got a promotion.
to an artilleryman.
Yeah. Hey, I was in the Royal Regiment, so I can say that. Where did you get posted, Ren? You had to go to IETs first.
Yeah, IT's at Latchford.
So
Stand
pretty
fast.
much back home. Then.
Yeah.
That would have been very handy for you, obviously.
Yeah.
Kapooka, then broadly back home. To be
Everyone were
able to
like,
sort
where
of-
do we go out in Albury? Like, follow me, bitches.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's be honest, it's Paddy's.
Yeah, well, it was. Apparently, Paddy's is no good anymore, but back in the day, it was the place to go. Yeah.
Exactly right, mate.
Yeah. Good old Paddy's. And I used to take everyone down to Wang, to the Wang pubs, the GC and the Albion.
Anyone listening from the Wang Pub and the Albion, g'day from...
And then Renee didn't have any friends anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they worked out where I grew up and they're like, fuck.
No wonder you are the way you are. So where'd you get your first posting?
Brisbane.
Beautiful. So what are we talking? End of 16 now? Start of 17?
Yeah, so I...
Mid-17.
Moved down. No, I moved down at the end of December 16,
Okay.
but started in Jan 17
Up in Brisbane.
in Brisbane at
Okay.
2CR.
And you'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
this ain't fucking Wangaratta.
Oh, it
This
was
is
bloody
Enoggera.
great. And we got told, we put out, when we were all putting in our locations that we wanted to go to, don't even bother putting Brisbane down. No one's going there. So I didn't put Brisbane. I think I
Oh,
put Brisbane as
standard.
third. Next minute.
That old chestnut
got
again.
Brisbane.
Neck minute.
Thanks,
Like,
Army.
here's my first, second, and third preference.
Yeah.
Anyway, disregard all that. You're going to go where we fucking want you to go.
Yeah.
Thank you for your preferences anyway.
Yeah.
So you must have been about the luckiest person on your course, though, to be able to pick up a Brisbane posting. Like, or was
Yeah.
there a few people went to Brisbane, or did everyone go to Darwin and Townsville?
So I was the only one who went to Brisbane. Someone went to like Toowoomba and someone else went out to Amberley, but there might have been 2 of us who got Brisbane. And we were the 2 people who put Brisbane as our 3rd preference, thinking we wouldn't get it. And everyone else who put it as their first got sent to like Darwin.
The Boulevard of Broken Dreams,
So-
commonly known as Schemer and Docker.
There's like the people on your course going, oh, you didn't listen to me. Darwin. Oh, Townsville.
Yeah. Do you remember that time you raised your eyebrows to me? You're going to fucking Canberra. See you later.
Yeah, but I was absolutely stoked. I'd never been to Brisbane before. My dad had worked here because he's a contractor for Linfox. And so he moved me up here and he was showing me all the cool places, took me to South Bank.
Brilliant. So
yeah.
did you live on barracks when you first got here?
Yeah. I actually really enjoyed living on barracks.
Me too.
That was because you'd had the brand new accommodation all built there a
Yes.
couple of years earlier. So pretty much your own self-contained apartment
Yeah.
on barracks.
So 2C Engineer Regiment in Enoggera, just for the RAFIs and Navy people listening.
Yeah.
How many people there? 350, 400?
300, yeah. 350, yeah. Pretty small unit.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But part of 7 Brigade,
Yeah.
2 or 3,000 other troops
Yeah.
inside Enoggera Barracks.
Yeah.
All right, cool. There you go, mate. So you're in Brizzy and you're chilling out. Did you get a chance to live out? Did you get RA eventually?
Yeah, so I ended up needing surgery for my hip. And basically I was told if I lived on base, I would have to stay in the hospital. Like I wouldn't be able to look after myself basically in my own room. I'd have to stay in hospital for a few weeks recovering. But if I lived off base, I could stay at home. So I was like, all right, I'm moving off.
One of them silly bloody rules.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So that was like the catalyst. Can we backpedal a little bit, because obviously that's key part of the story. Tell us how you got to this bit where you were moving off base so you can look after yourself because of a surgery. Obviously we skipped over a large chunk of time there. Tell us how that came to be, the injury there.
Yeah, so I I got a bit of the typical things you get from the pook, like the shin splints and stress fractures and stuff in your feet. So I just come good from that, and I was getting back into my fitness, and I was running pretty consistently, doing, all your pack marching stuff and that. And one day I just felt this burning sensation in my left hip, and I was like, oh, that's a bit odd. Went up to the PTI and I was like, oh, mate, I'm just something doesn't feel right. Is it right if I go to the ROP? And he's like, yeah, no worries. Got told it was just a tight hip flexor. Got given some stretches from a physio for a tight hip flexor, and that made it worse. Turned out I'd torn my labral in my hip. It was quite a large tear, and the stretches had made it worse because I was stretching it out, pulling out.
You were
this
stretching
tear.
out the torn tear.
Yeah. And basically got told I shouldn't have the surgery because they found out I had hip dysplasia, but the only way to fix it would be to have the surgery, but then there could be complications. So
Real catch-22 you found yourself in here.
yeah, but I was like, do you know what? I'm going to get surgery because if I don't, I'm probably never going to be able to run properly again, anything like that.
How old are you at this stage?
21.
Right, so you're making life-changing, life-altering, decisions from a medical perspective as a 21-year-old. How'd you handle that?
I didn't handle it very well.
Right.
Emotional.
Overwhelmed.
Yep.
Confused.
Kind of fell into a bit of a, not a depression, but just a real sadness. Really, I was doing so well, and, I was at the fittest I'd bloody ever been.
Enjoying being a soldier.
Loving
enjoying
it.
being around the engineers are a great bunch of guys and girls to be around. I remember that well.
Yeah, and I loved being in Brisbane, and I'd made really great friends, and just, I was loving the path that I was on. And so when that happened, it was really a bit of a kick in the balls because I also got told it could affect carrying children in the future.
Wow.
Because of all the weight bearing on your hips. It was pretty emotional time. And then I went through with the surgery in the end because I thought that would help. Had the surgery and it actually didn't help. I was actually still to this day have problems with my hip. Even though it's healed, there's a whole heap of inflammation from the surgery and stuff. And I tried to kind of do what I could to get back to some form of fitness, but I could just never do the army things again. I couldn't I couldn't carry weight on my back, so I couldn't do any pack marches.
So it sounds like there was like a lot of real stoicism that you had there, that you're like, look, I've got to have this surgery. I need to do my thing. You needed to look after your future self, I suppose, fundamentally. So, and then you just sort of came back, and it sounds as though you're never back to 100%. And I know, RT, you've had some pretty significant surgeries in your life. How have you found like being able to return back to your former self after such significant injuries?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, once it's, if you're talking about a major joint, hip, ankle or knee or shoulder, like it's just not the same.
Nah.
It'll never ever be the same.
Nah, that's right.
So yeah, it's just one of those. Yeah, but I'm just amazed, and I can see you visibly shaken by
Yeah,
it now. You're
sorry.
you're not sitting here enjoying talking about this. So people watching on YouTube will see Renee shaking like a soldier at a spelling test at the moment. But you know what? That's great, mate, because it's raw, it's real, it has affected your life, and did you think you were going to be in the military for quite a while?
I wanted to.
Great.
My plan was, I wanted to be promoted. Like I would have liked to reach corporal, which as a clerk is quite easy, to be honest. Like I should have been promoted within the first 3 years of my career. But yeah, I just didn't, and they couldn't promote me because I couldn't do the courses because of my injury.
Of course.
Yeah.
So
even though you could, like, from a pure role perspective, like as a clerk, you could do a
my
clerk
job,
job.
yeah.
Absolutely.
100%,
Like,
yeah.
100% of the
What
job.
about being a corporal? What about being a junior leader was attractive to you?
being a leader.
Yeah.
That's, like I really, and also I just wanted to prove to myself, because I didn't mention this at the start, but another reason why I joined the army was because a lot of people thought I was a bit of a princess, bit of, not really going
With your haircut?
Yeah, with my haircut. No, before they chopped it off, RT.
Sorry, mate.
I think a lot of people didn't think I would do anything with my life. So I really just wanted to prove to myself that I could do it.
It was a bit of a fuck
And,
you to him as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the idea of being able to, further my career within defence and become that leader, was super, super appealing to me.
So what year are we talking about now? Because there's some stuff happening in the background with Axon that I want to now start to weave into the story, because you're all going through this here and we had not come across each other so far.
Yeah. Can we just backpedal a bit? Where was Captain Chaos at this point? Had you met Ruben at this point?
Captain Chaos, he...
And where does he fit in? Like, where did you guys meet, and sort of how was he going? Because he was in the military as well at this point in time,
Yes.
Would have been a very interesting dynamic as well, and very challenging for you to see your significant other in the military while you're having to go through this stuff as well. So,
We met in Kapuka.
dirty little fratters.
No. Well, the funny thing was...
Shock horror. That never happens.
Never.
Yeah.
The funny thing was, though, he had a bit of an egghead, so I didn't find him that appealing, and I had a lesbian haircut, so I wasn't appealing to him either. We were just really good mates until we got to Latchy, and then we started hanging out, and you get drunk, and
Because he was doing his VM course.
VM course, pre-qual, but he went VM.
Down at the Latchford Tavern.
That's right.
The boozer.
I didn't realise your relationship had gone back that far.
Yeah.
I probably, I remember when we first met, and we'll certainly bring that in a second, I thought the relationship was reasonably new, that you sort of linked up with someone in 7 Brigade sort of thing.
We did 17 months a long distance. So
Right.
the idea was that when I moved to Brisbane, it would be we would kind of probably end it.
Cease.
Yeah, we were going to see how it went, but we both didn't think it would work out because neither of us wanted long distance. We didn't
You're
want
both
that.
very pragmatic people like that. You very much look at, okay, are the odds stacked in our favour? Yes, no. What's going to be the best thing for us from a holistic perspective?
I'd say Ruben's a bit more pragmatic than me, but I was definitely aware that long distance doesn't work, and but it just got to the point where we were like, oh, we both are very happy with each other. Let's just keep pushing out and see if we can get you a post in here when you finish your training.
Yeah.
Which we did.
Let the universe take care of itself. Brilliant. So it sort of got to a point, you're doing all this stuff with your medical things. Are things starting to progress for you from a medical perspective down a discharge role, or were you being managed in-house at the unit at that time?
Yeah, so for a long time, the doctor actually offered me a discharge right after my surgery when I wasn't recovering well, and I was like, nah, I'm fine, I'm going to be fine, I'm going to do it.
Yep,
and then
great.
it got to 2018, and I wasn't fine, I wasn't getting to where I wanted to be, and I just remember talking to Ruben, bawling my eyes out to Ruben one night, just saying I just can't see myself furthering my career anymore because my hip's in the way. I'm never going to be able to get to the fitness I need to be. I'm never going to be able to do the things I need in a physical way to progress. And then I think in that moment was when I realised I just need to leave. Like I need to, because the longer I stay and if I keep on trying to get to where I want to be, I'm actually going to make myself worse. And the doctor brought up again the thing about the kid thing, like the longer I try and stay and do the things. The
more aggravated it's going to be.
Yeah,
yep.
And so the harder it'll be. Like I'll probably have arthritis in my hips by the time I'm 30, all that kind of stuff. So I just made a decision. I was like, okay, it's time to go, put my discharge papers in. And it was about like a 6-month process.
I was going to say, so you started to put it out to the world, and I'm not all woo-woo, far from it, right? But as I get older and older and as I reflect on sort of the things that happen to me, that shit just happens for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just you put it out there and see where it's going to take you, and it just somehow it takes its own path.
Yeah.
Some for the good, good, bad, indifferent, or otherwise. So what are we talking? Sort of mid 2018 by about now?
Yeah. So I discharged in the 24th of July, I think it was.
Yeah. So in the meantime, early 2018, we'd moved into the house at Coomera.
Yeah.
We'd started to grow the team, and Dan and I, him and I were doing a bit of left seat, right seat, property coach and property specialist. And we too realised, we're like, all right, cool, there's this whole lot of admin that's starting to occur on, servicing clients on the back end and, creating our own forms and sending our own emails and making our own bookings. We're like, I remember when I used to work for the other firm, we had someone else come in and I think we called it a client relations officer, a CRO. And that was the term. I'm like, why don't we fucking try and find one of them? And then I was on the piss one night with Nick and Karina and a few other people down at Bulimba there. And then Patchy, what's he? Was it
Pesh Dog?
Pesh Dog. Peshy.
Yeah.
Peshy was there. Peshy was there. Yeah, Matty Pesh. Hope you're doing well, brother. And then we just sort of got talking. He goes, "Oh, hey, you guys are like looking for a veteran to come and help you guys do a heap of admin." He goes, "One of my clerks at work, I think, is getting out soon."
Yeah.
I'm like, right, fucking put me in touch with her.
Yeah.
I said, what's she like? He goes, yeah, she's a cool chick. She grew up in the country, pretty easygoing, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess that was like the very spawning of our relationship, and then we sort of made contact.
Yep.
You came down to the office, said g'day. We went and had a lunch together. Tell everyone about the little lunch we had together down at the boathouse there at Coomera Marina.
I don't know if you know, RT, but that was my birthday that day.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yep.
So
and nobody said happy birthday.
No, but I didn't say anything because it was my job interview. I didn't want to be like, hey, it's my birthday. Like,
tell us about the job interview. It wasn't an interview. We just fucking had lunch. We're just drawing off. But.
So I was shitting my pants a bit. I was
like,
it was the first job interview I've done in long time. So I was really nervous, and I kind of roll up and I see this restaurant. I'm like, oh, this place is nice. Like, this looks cool. And then I see RT and Tam just sitting there, and I'm like, oh, Tam's wearing an Axon dress. And I'm like, oh, fuck, like, I don't know if I'm dressed enough for this. Like, but then I think you were just in shorts and a shirt. And
I'm always in shorts and a t-shirt, mate.
Welcome to the Axon uniform.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I was super nervous, but we just got along like a house on fire, and we're chatting away. And then I was just carrying on, and then all I could think of...
Being yourself.
Being myself, yeah. All I could think of is what Ruben told me not to say in the job interview.
Tell us about that.
And I was like, oh... Ruben's like, make sure when they ask you what your... What's
one of your weaknesses?
What's one of your weaknesses?
Yeah.
Don't tell them when you start drinking you can't stop.
Because we're sitting there having a glass of wine, and then Tamara looked at me. She's like, "You're hired."
Yeah. And I was like, yes. Went home that night and told Ruben that's how I got the job. He's like, "Oh fuck, don't listen to me."
And then sort of tell us about coming into the office and meeting Dan, and just sort of, I guess that veteran culture and veteran fabric, and because we'll get to your journey with and without us in a second. But yeah, just give us your sort of the first impressions there about coming to work with us.
It was so different to anything I'd done before. I was in such a bad place when I left the defence So coming into this like house that was our office, and Dan's out the back hosing the lawn.
Watering the lawn to maintain the...
I was going to say, it wasn't like out the back hosing the lawn like a little 3-year-old does. He was just out there watering the lawn.
It's just,
And he's like, oh, hey, mate. I'm like, oh, hi.
I absolutely wouldn't have been wearing shoes
No, you were not. I don't think you ever wore shoes there, Dan.
back in the day.
No, but it was awesome because I came into this environment with people who were ex-military. So I felt like I hadn't got very far from the military, but I loved it because I knew like I was on the same page as you guys. You were on the same page as me. You know, you guys were speaking lingo, and it wasn't like you had to worry about some civilian who had no idea what was being talked about.
Yep.
And I felt really comfortable, and I was just, and the banter we had, like it was a really, I just really loved it. It was a good place to come to after a really terrible month that I'd been out of work for, basically.
And the clients were there as well, so you were talking to other defence members, Army, Navy, Air Force. It's super easy to just pick up the phone and just, hey mate, how you going? It's Renee from Axon here. Boom, boom, boom. Got your profile in hand, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really, really comfortable, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of the things I loved seeing you transition into was you got a real bug. You got back into the fitness game.
Yes.
After a little bit of rest, and then you went and did your comp.
Yeah, bikini.
Yeah, bikini comp. Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I kind of kicked myself in the butt and I was like, come on, it's time to do something. You know, your hip might be causing a bit of pain, but you can modify things. You're not in the army anymore. Let's do some different training. So I got into the gym. I found a coach and I was just lifting weights and decided to push myself to compete in a bodybuilding competition. So yeah, it was probably one of the hardest mental challenges I've ever had. Much harder than the old Kapuka.
Just different.
Yeah. And it was probably the best thing I ever did for myself, honestly. It was awesome. And it was very difficult in the Axon office, especially over Easter with all those hot cross buns. And
yes, there's this little thing, ladies and gents, called the Axon spread. And everyone that comes here has been guilty of, and we've all waxed and waned in and out of it over the years.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would have been good. I remember one lunch in particular that we were having family lunch out the back and doing a barbecue.
Yes.
We're like, hey, we need some beers. Dan, you can tell this story.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously we're going to have a nice steak. I think you'd bought in like a whole rib or something like that. Rib fillet.
Flash ones.
Yeah, it's very, very... I was really looking forward to that lunch, actually. It was going to be quite special. I don't know what the occasion was for, but Renee had the delightful task of shooting off down the road to the local bottle shop.
And it was warm. We were out the back cooking the barbecue. Sun was coming down. I'm like, this cold beer is going to be fucking beautiful
come summer. So she's managed to pick up a couple of nice ice cold glasses of bottles of wine for the girls and pop them straight in the fridge as she comes back. But she got a slab of warm beer.
4X gold, warm.
And left it sitting on the kitchen bench for an hour and a half when it could have been chilling in the freezer.
Yep.
And that was when Renee got her first written warning.
Yep. Nearly lost my job.
If you fucking do that again, I'll march you out of here. So I'm like, strike one, buddy. Don't ever buy me warm beer again.
I just had no idea. Do you know what? I've walked into the bottle shop and it was. I remember what you asked me to get. It was right there,
staring at you.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, there it is. I'll just grab that one. Yeah, and then honestly, I was more thinking about the wine than I was the beer when it came to putting it in the
Fair enough too. Hey, so doing so well in your comment, I know that you tell us about that. How was it? What was it like being up on stage in your little teeny bikini? And certainly, I remember that. I'll pull the piss out of you a little bit here. In the 6 weeks leading up to the comp, especially, all I could hear about in the office was macro this and carbs this and water this and fucking. I was like, fuck, I feel like I'm on a bloody keto show because you were being very, very strict and you were. I think you were
everybody,
including everyone.
But people had to know, otherwise you would have fed me all this Axon spread food and I wouldn't have stood
like it's one of those things. How do you know someone does CrossFit? They're walking around telling everyone.
Yeah,
how do you know someone's on keto? They're walking around telling everyone.
Yeah.
How do you know someone's a pilot? You know the rest. So I really saw that you're up on stage there, and I saw the amazing photos. And again, Ruben was being really, really supportive, wasn't he? Which was so good.
Yeah.
And one of the things you were able to do when you were there was like build your first investment property.
Yes. Yeah.
So I remember this really, really intently as well. We said, I'm going to get Ruben to come down, and he's actually got a few questions for you, Robbie. He wants to go through a few things. And sure enough, he comes down. He goes, "Yeah, here you go, mate." And he's protective,
macho man.
Macho man. I think he'd just been away on a course, and he's come back, and he's pretty fit. He's got the guns out, and he's kicking around, and he's a very well spoken. He's got a really great presence about him. Like when Ruben's in the room, you don't have to tell everyone. You'll just hear him, right? He's really, really great bloke. And he was just giving it to us. He's like, "Tell me about this, and tell me how this works, and tell me how this works." And then all of us, the four of us, were just sort of sitting down, having a conversation, doing that first plan.
Yeah.
Fast forward a couple of hours, he's like, stood up, shook my hand. He goes, "All right, let's do it."
Yeah. Yeah.
And you guys went and bought your first investment property.
Yeah, so that was awesome. So I'd because I'm medically discharged, I did get a bit of a payout, and I'm like, my past experience with money is just to spend it. And
You mean past or?
Yeah, I
still
noticed
now,
that.
But at the time, like, Ruben had talked quite a bit about property and invest in property. I didn't know a lot about it, and then all of a sudden I was working for a property
Surrounded by
investment group.
us every day.
Yeah, and I just remember saying to Ruben one day, I was like, "Why don't we use this money and get a property through Axon?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I might need to talk to them first."
I'm sorry, Ruben, you're going to be listening to this. So all three of us are doing very poor renditions of how you sound.
I thought you guys were both pretty close to right on the money, actually.
Okay, all right. All right, let's do
it. So we sat down, and I didn't say a lot because Ruben and Robbie, you two together, it's insane. Like, you just can't keep up.
There's a bit of a bromance happens whenever those two are in the room.
Now we actually like each other.
Yeah, exactly.
We were just like sussing each other out when we first met.
Hey, I remember us having a lovely dinner together at the completion of that property, and I think you and Ruben actually shared a meal together, like the same piece of meat.
Probably.
Yeah.
And you might have actually even been like just feeding each other.
Probably.
I would not be surprised.
We came a long way in a very short period. He's a great bloke. I love him. So that was really good. Like, and no doubt you would have told your friends and your families, like, "Hey, I'm now buying my first investment." Like, just using that money that you were duly compensated for injuring yourself from a service reason. That then obviously DVA took care of you, et cetera, et cetera. So, you weren't the first person that were able to help put a plan in place to make sure you did use that money to its highest and best use, but there's probably been 20 or 30 since then at least. So, and then that's bloody wonderful that that money's not just gone down the drain or buying a perishable fucking item that goes down in value. So that was good. And then, I guess, Dan, you and I really saw a love for the gym and personal training and fitness and health, and you were trim. Mate, you were looking fucking amazing.
Yeah. And
I guess and it was actually one of my fault because I gave you the Roxy Jasenko book to read.
You did.
And I'm like, "Hey, Tammy just went down here," and I was just reading this is how I see female entrepreneurs. This is how I see leadership. This is civilian leadership, not the corporal leadership. You said straight away. I said, "Why do you want to be a corporal?" You're like, "I want to be the leader."
Yeah.
You want to be the army leader, but now you've learnt, right, that being an army leader ain't being a real leader.
No.
That's just wielding your rank around and fucking do as I say, otherwise you're going to jail, mofo.
Yeah.
That ain't leadership, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now. And then fast forward to 6 weeks later, you're like, "Hey guys, I'm really sorry to do this." Well, tell us what happened when you were reading that book.
There was a few things that all came together, I think, that resulted in the outcome we're talking about here. I think one of the things was you decided on taking yourself on a little journey internationally for a couple of weeks or a month or so or something like that, and you left us all behind, mate. To be perfectly honest, you left us in a lurch, really, didn't you?
Yeah. But you had 6 months' notice.
Yeah, exactly. So
not my problem.
So you disappeared overseas, and basically, I think Simo had joined us by this point as well. So Robbie, Simo, and myself were sitting there, and we'd become relatively reliant on Renee and all of those bits and bobs that she did, and then you disappeared. And we had to do them ourselves, mate. And to be perfectly honest, we didn't have the time and space in our life, so we sort of altered some stuff while you were away, right?
Yeah. So I went away for a month, and put on all the weight that I'd lost eating croissants and pasta.
It's called holidays. Don't worry about it.
And I came back and I was excited to be back. I'm like, yeah, all right, I've had a month off. I feel fresh, ready to smash life. And I got into the office and Dan's giving me a brief of like everything that's kind of been readjusted because you guys had worked out ways to do my job in another way, so shit was getting done while I was away. And you're like, oh, and it's worked really well, so you don't have to do it anymore. So I'm sitting there and I've lost like 3 of my like main jobs, and I'm like, what am I fucking doing? And then Robbie gave me this Roxy Jasenko book, and I read it like 3 times. I loved it. And at the time,
Have you still got it? What do you reckon?
Yeah,
Can you
yeah.
please bring it in?
Yeah.
All right.
Can you return
Yeah,
that
like,
book?
yeah.
Buy some-
Oh yeah.
Fucking give it back.
You said I could keep it.
I did at the time.
It's got a bit of a stain on it,
I
but
don't
I
mind.
can bring it back.
I don't mind.
Yeah, all right.
Lots of my books have got stains on too. I drop coffee on them all the time.
Anyway, yeah, and at the time I was pretty passionate about my fitness and stuff. I'd done pretty well in my competition at the start of the year. And I actually had I'd been a personal trainer before, but just before I joined the army. So I was like, I think it's my time to go back to that. I feel like I can't contribute to Axon the way I was before. I think it's time for me to kind of go out and kind of learn to be a bit more of a civilian, because I was still surrounded by such military vibes.
The real soft landing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was like, I think I want to go out and do my own thing. And
And we loved it. Like Dan and I used to tell the story all the time that we were so proud that you were the first person that effectively got out of the military, and then a very few, like you weren't out of the military long. We'll just say 2 or 3 weeks. So let's call it a month maximum.
A month, yeah.
And then boom, you're into this sort of paramilitary organisation, really, where everything's pretty much still the same, and you're talking military clients. So just for us to be able to provide that soft landing for you, and now we've done it to Adam, now we've done it to James, we were able to do it with Matt, et cetera, et cetera. So, and Dane as well. Yeah. So it has been a really, really great thing for us to do it. But you were the first one. You were the Highlander. You were the only one at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
So then you had to come to us and tell us the news. You're like, Robbie and Tammy, I need to have a coffee with you. As soon as anyone says that to us, we're like, oh, what's going on?
I was so nervous because I was like, how am I supposed to tell them? Because I don't want them to think like I'm leaving, and I don't want anything to do. Like, I loved everyone in the office, and we did keep in contact, and we built another house with you guys even after I'd left the office. So I was just trying to work out how to say, "Bye, Felicia," without it, without being like,
fuck you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it. There's always a balancing act.
But
it went down fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
We were fully supportive and everything. We're like, hey, baby, go do your thing. Go do your thing. And we're not going to stand in your way. Like this, you should go and, explore other things in life. Yeah. Yeah. How did that all go? Like, how did you feel when you finally handed in your Axon key card and all your passes and everything? Gave your shirt back.
Sort of stuff.
I was
unwashed.
Shit scared. I was absolutely shit scared because I was I was going into a whole different world again, and so I was excited, but it was like I was no longer in this stable role with a stable environment and stable people around me. As a personal trainer, it's just you. Like, I was a contractor to a gym.
Was Dan one of your clients?
He was one of my clients.
We actually used to get in trouble because we were working out at the gym near my place, and Renee wasn't actually certified to do sessions.
I didn't train Dan in the gym that I worked in. I trained Dan in his gym, which is a gym I was not a member of.
Let's keep that nameless, please. Sorry, all you gyms in East Brisbane there, I apologise.
Thanks, mate. There's like one.
It's got to be more than one.
I think one of my excuses once was, I'm actually in training for my PT thing, so Dan's just letting me practice.
And we did. Like, every week we almost had like this new excuse going forward as we were doing it. So, but like, we almost had like this symbiotic relationship because we'd go to the gym and you were also doing some study at the time. Yes. So Renee would then come back to my place and Anne would run through her last week's worth of economics.
Oh, and Anne was amazing. She got me through so much because economics sucked. I fucking hated it so much. If it wasn't for Anne, there's no way in hell I would have passed
But
that
really,
subject.
really love the power of numbers because it's dry, and if it's not kicking your tires and lighting your fires, you'll be dragging your ass through
Yeah,
them.
exactly. So we've given a bit more context to that. I was doing my business degree.
Yeah.
I did not finish the business degree because I realised I hate studying. And
Some of the inspo would have come from that book, though, right?
yes, yeah, it did.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
But Anne, if she listens to this, you're amazing.
She won't listen to it.
She won't.
She's known me longer
Wait,
than she's known Dan. And
Dubs, can you cut this part out where I told Anne she's amazing? We can just send it to her. Yeah, thanks.
yeah. Hey, so you did that for a little while, and then COVID hit, gyms got shut, etc., etc. So that sort of would have curtailed your PT world a little bit more, and then you went into another job. Tell us about that.
Yes.
Because I want to tell everyone how you came back here soon. So let's get all this other stuff out of the way.
I'll get it out nice and fast. Yeah, so gym shut. I had the option to go back to the gym, but I was like, nah, it's not stable. I can't have it. I need stability in my life. I'm that kind of person. So I was like, I'm not going to continue this. And so I got a job in Queensland Health. So I went back to government.
You wanted stability.
I did.
You want it. That's where you get it.
So I started working in West Moreton in the mental health part there. And I actually for the first few months I really enjoyed it because I really enjoyed the impact I was kind of having, even though I wasn't directly working with mental health. I was a nurse rostrar, so I was helping all the nurses.
Make sure the shifts were on time.
Making sure like the patients weren't going out without nurses and stuff, and that's a pretty good feeling. But that got really tiring real fast because it was quite a toxic atmosphere in the office, and it was shift work. So I'd go from doing a 4 a.m. till 1:30. And then so I'd do that maybe 2 or 3 days in a row, have like 1 or 2 days off, and then I'd go back in and do a afternoon shift, which was 1 till 10:30. Mind you, I was casual, so I was also doing some day shift work. So there was weeks where I would do like 2 or 3 a.m. shifts, so 4 a.m. till whatever time. Then I'd do a normal day shift the next day, and then I'd go straight into a night shift. And I was just I burnt myself out real bad, and my mental health got pretty bad, and I got to the point where I was really struggling, and Ruben just like picked it up on it real easy, and he's like, "Baby, are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm not."
And then concurrent to this, you were also building your second property at that same time. So you had the additional like choosing the tile colours and what plants do you want and all that.
This is the house you're living in now.
So
you did pour a little bit of emotional capital into it.
Yeah.
So it does take a bit of time and effort to make all that happen.
And because of the house, I couldn't just leave the job because I needed the money. Like I didn't have the option of just, maybe leaving for a month and finding another job.
You would have felt trapped.
Yeah, I 100% did. So, yes, there was that. And then I got offered a different position, so I moved out of the shift work, which was really good, and went in to be a doctor roster instead, which they're not as full on as what the nurses are because it's a much bigger pool of nurses rather than like 10 doctors that you work with, 10 or 20 doctors. So I did that, but then there wasn't enough work, so I was bored.
Which
So
would
I
have
just
impacted
couldn't
your mental
win.
health as well.
You really need like the perfect balance of
do.
happy medium, don't you?
I really do. And again, it was still that toxic environment that I was in. So, yeah. And then one day.
No. We were doing our Brisbane meetup.
Yes.
We're doing our Brisbane meetup. We went to Fortitude Valley. One of the things there, and there's probably about 40 or 50 people, clients, and
It was huge.
yeah, it was really, really great.
Yeah.
It was the best one we've had by far. And thank you so much for everyone coming. I think that was like, when was that? Earlier this year.
Yeah, it was
Jan,
like,
Feb 2021.
Yeah, very early on in the year. COVID had been relaxed.
Yeah.
All the distances were fine.
We were doing pretty good, Queensland was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, was it me or Jane that said something to you?
So I was talking to Jane.
So you're just there as a punter,
Yeah.
obviously still a
Yeah.
close friend of ours,
Yeah.
ex-team member, built one house, currently building a second house, absolutely entitled, and some of your friends have now built
Yeah.
houses with us as well, which is amazing, so well done you for that. I know they're very thankful of you introducing us to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so you're on the beers, you're having a good time, eating the bloody barries, and then James, and then I was there at that time. I can't remember exactly what was said, but what's your recollection of how it all went down?
So Jano and I were catching up, and I was just basically telling her how I was really struggling with my job and stuff. And she goes out of nowhere, oh, I could have really used another build support girl. And I was like, oh, yeah. And she's like, would you come back? And I was like, in build support? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I don't know.
Because that wasn't a role you did before.
No,
here.
completely. And I'd seen her when Kylie was here. I'd seen her and Kylie do it, and they were always like pretty stressed and like they had a lot going on. And I was like, oh, like I don't know. And then Jano mentioned something to you, RT, and you're like, oh yeah. And then Tam was there, and Tam's like, oh yeah, if you want to come back, like that'd be awesome. And then RT pipes in, and the pay's gone up. And I'm like, oh.
All of a sudden Renee's interested.
But at the time, like it was just, honestly, I was like, oh, like it was just a chat. It was not really, like it was something, but it wasn't. And then I guess I got a couple weeks into my job, and I was like, actually, I need to message Jane, because if she was serious, I want to take her up, like on the offer. And then...
So it was a real sort of planting of the seed, semi-social environment. A few people have sort of said things, but it would have got the cogs back ticking again.
Yes.
And how was that? Would have got the belly and the heart back going, would have been like to go back to it? Because we'd grown...
Yes.
We'd grown to, what were we when you were working with us? One of 4 or 5, 6.
Yeah.
Now we were like 14, 15, 16. So we'd grown, we had 10 extra people in the office. So it was a very different dynamic.
Yeah.
And I know you'd been down to the office here, where we are here in Southport, just with you and Ruben, as clients sort of thing, just to come and say hi and see the new digs. So you helped us move in.
Yeah.
That's right. That was August 2019 when we first moved in, and then you sort of left soon after.
Like a month later.
Thanks for putting together all the tables and chairs and cupboards and everything. At least you're using them now.
Yeah.
So it was good. I mean, and I guess the word sort of got around a little bit that maybe Renee was going to come back, and I know that you and Dan and everyone was sort of still catching up socially as well. So you guys would have had a bit more of those sort of chats on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool. And then when was and then you might have been just listening to one of our random live Q&As. About a few months later.
Yeah, so there was a little bit of a... I think I had both yourself and Ruben around for one afternoon
for a coffee
at our place, just to double check it was...
East Brisbane, just down the road from the gym.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we'd moved by that point in time. It was our new shack. So
we were no longer at that gym.
Yeah. No gym at all for anyone who's seen me lately. We had you guys around, and obviously we'd been speaking about it on the back channel. We've been like, hey, what do you think?
Yeah.
Is this a thing? What's what? And I came to work, it must have been the Tuesday afterwards, and I'm like, hey, we're going to do this. Tammy, Robbie, you need to put together all the paperwork and get it across to Renee, formally make her the offer, everything like that from an employment perspective. And then we jumped on a Wednesday night on a Facebook Live.
The day later.
To be very honest, none of that paperwork had been done at that point in time.
I hadn't received anything.
And then Robbie, what did you say?
Oh, we're just talking about life and Axon and people and whatever. So, by the way, Renee's going to come and join us again. And of course, Jane was listening, the build support manager. She hadn't been formally notified. Nat, who works in build support, was like, who the fuck's Renee? I don't know. She's coming back.
and Tammy and I are on this live going, nah.
It's live.
Stop.
It's out there. Too bad.
Do you know what? I got a message from Nighty, Cat Knight, saying,
yes.
oh, are you going back to Axon? I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, the Facebook Live. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Way to get a job offer, hey?
Yeah. And then Jane messages me. She goes,
Public.
Did you watch the Facebook Live? I'm like, no, I haven't seen the Facebook Live.
What is this friggin' Facebook Live?
And she's like, Dolls, I think you need to see it. And I've gone on and there's Robbie. Renee's come back. I'm like, I haven't even got paperwork.
Oh, gold.
How are you and Ruben feeling, though, when you got, like, that very early warning that you were coming back? You didn't really have an option at that point, so...
Yeah, I couldn't back out then, could I?
I was locked in.
You know what? Maybe that was me backing myself into a corner to make it happen.
Hey.
I just thought of that now for anyone else listening. They're like, why the fuck did he do that? Maybe that's a good reason why.
And so I suppose now that you've come back to Axon, like obviously all the paperwork got squared away in the end, but
paperwork has been signed.
Now that you've come back to Axon, I suppose you've come back and you've left a relatively very junior organisation where we're still sort of figuring out our intricacies and ways of doing business to something that has been somewhat formalised now over the last sort of 18 months that you've been away from the organisation? Like, what's some of the biggest differences that you've seen, and sort of what have you been experiencing now?
That's a great question.
Honestly, my first day back in the office, I was a bit overwhelmed because I just wasn't used to so many people. I wasn't used to like the whole new process. There was 3 build support girls. Like, you know, there were 4 property specialists. There was a whole bloody marketing team. There's a podcast. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, coming in, I was like, I've missed out on a lot. And even though I do know, I mean, like at least half the team pretty well, I'm a bit nervous that the other half might not like me. Like, I was really, really nervous because I was the new kid again, regardless of whether I knew RT or Dan or Tam or, you know, stickers. Like, I was the new person again.
Dave Simpson, for those that don't know.
And it was funny because I know from my perspective, I'm like, yeah, Renee's coming back. She'll just slot into the framework. Like, she's always been here, like mentally in my mind. But then, like, flipping it to the other side, all these new people that have come, they've never met Renee before. They don't know what they're in for, by the way.
They don't. They know now.
But, like, Renee was turning up as basically the FNG, but also the old hand as well that joined Axon originally, formally, before Simo did.
Yes, and I still hold that over his head.
Yes.
Fucking Jube.
So, like, that would have been a very interesting... How did you sort of treat that? Did you have that consciously in your mind that you were coming to meet new people as well as having to nurture this other thing over there as well?
100%. And I told myself that I need to make a conscious effort to not just, you know, banter too much with the people that I do know. Like, I need to involve myself with the people that I don't know yet because they are my team as well. And as nerve-wracking as that was, because I didn't want people, I was a bit worried people would be like, oh, she's been here before, like, oh God, she's obviously come crawling back or like something ridiculous like that. So yeah, it was really nerve-wracking. But, you know, Noah on my first day, I've never met Noah, and she comes running up to me like, Renee, in a beautiful Brazilian voice. And I'm like, oh, hi. She gave me a big cuddle, and it was at that moment I was like, I'm going to be fine. These people are great. I mean, Dubs is okay, but no. I love everyone, and just seeing how much Axon has grown is unbelievable. And it makes me so proud as well of Axon. Like, it's come such a long way.
That's amazing. Yeah. And of course, you've built 2 houses under your belt now. So this is my first little chats that I was having you. You're like, oh, but haven't really done the build support role before. I'm like, you have. You've done it as a client.
Yeah.
You know what it feels like to receive the slab claim. You know what it feels like at the fixing coaching call when we need to get your insurances and your property management and all that sort of stuff, you know, sorted out come the end of the build. Even though you built 2 houses and gone through that process 2 times over, how's it now on the other side of the fence, and now you're, you know, being that coach and guide and mentor during the build process for the clients?
I think I told you this in like my first week RT, but, you know, even though I'd been through the process a couple of times, I never realised how much work build support do. Like, the amount of depth they go into, all the liaison between the builders, you know, from the builders to the building inspector, to the property managers. Like, we do so much work that the clients would never know about. And that's like...
Well, you never knew about it.
No, exactly.
That's the whole point. Yeah.
Exactly. I never knew about it. And I love it. I absolutely love it. It's been awesome. It's been an awesome role. But yeah, I was very nervous about doing the role because Jano, you don't want to disappoint Jano. You want to do your best for her because she's amazing.
But that's good. She, you know, she probably built 150 houses whilst you were gone.
Oh yeah,
thereabouts, or certainly a lot of them in process anyway. So her levels of experience would have gone through the roof.
Yeah,
you know, you would have seen. You know, Dan and I have certainly evolved over the time as well, and Simo's just Simo. What about what you've experienced with Tamara? Isn't she a wonderful leader? Hasn't she really? Because she was she wasn't on the side back then, but it was still very much. It was Robbie's business. His mate Dan was working with him. She was just helping out, but that ain't the case anymore, is it?
So, yeah, before I left, she was really just running marketing stuff. She was kind of, still like doing her her thing. But I've come back and she's just grown so much within her confidence as being a leader as well, and within her knowledge of the business. And just listening to some of the things she comes out with, especially on the Facebook Lives now, you're like, far out, Tam, you're a boss.
Yeah,
like
she knows everything.
Yeah, and she's just, she's grown so much, and I have loved coming back and seeing, like, comparing the Tam that I worked with before and the new Tam now. Yeah, she's amazing. She's done real well.
Yeah, I know she'll be really happy to hear that. What else? What advice would you give somebody that's thinking about getting out of the military? They probably have not, because there's hundreds of people that get out of the military every month. That's my guess.
It's a belter question to be like talking about from a transition perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you tell yourself now? So you had a month off, probably scared shitless, had your soft landing with us, went and did your PT stuff, had to pivot because of COVID, went into a government job, didn't like it, went into a bit of mental health spiral yourself, still dealing with your injuries, no doubt. Now you're back home.
Yeah.
What are you going to tell yourself, Renee, who's thinking about getting out of the military?
Firstly, if you're thinking about getting out of the military, then that's a sign in itself. And I think if that's what you're thinking about, it's time. You just should do it. And then what I would say to me is everything happens for a reason. This is the next step for you. Everything's going to be okay. You just got to follow it through. Everything's going to be okay.
I love that. I just heard you sigh over there in the background, Dan. Like, if you're thinking about getting out, that's probably a sign that the time is right for you now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really powerful.
It's just one of those things. If you're thinking about doing something, it's time to start executing it.
100%. Yeah.
And would you agree, looking back, plan now and plan early? Put steps in place.
Yeah.
You know, your separation happened quite swiftly.
Yeah.
Not on a path of your choosing.
Yeah.
And those few weeks where you didn't have a plan and you didn't have a job and you didn't have a future and you were wondering what the fuck is next, waiting for all the DBA paperwork to bloody finally kick into gear.
Yeah.
It's a horrendous time for everybody. I had about a 3 or 4 week period as well until I was able to, get my paperwork signed for the role that I took up straight afterwards. Even though the conversations were taking place, until you've sort of got that. Even if someone makes an announcement on Facebook Live, you're not working there yet.
Yeah, that's right. You're still not. You still haven't signed the paperwork.
So I remember exactly what that's like. So certainly a little bit like a monkey swinging through the vines. Don't let go of both vines at the same time. Have a plan in place. Get something under your belt and plan early.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's certainly something that I remember.
And be okay with the unknown. So my biggest thing was I was so terrified of what I didn't know, of what was going to happen with my life. I was bloody like 22 or maybe like 23 or something. I was so bloody young. I know a lot of people going through their discharge and stuff are a bit older, but don't be afraid of the unknown, because there's a reason why you're leaving and the next thing's going to come up for you. So, yeah.
Bloody hell. What a phenomenal story. And for those of you who have just been listening to it through the podcast, wherever you get your podcast from, go back to when Renee was sharing the story about her injuries, because Renee, it must have taken certainly some courage, and I know it's been some time, it has passed, but for you to be able to come here and share that story, which is obviously still somewhat raw under the surface, even though you sort of were very stoic in the nature that you sort of put forward there. Thank you very much for coming and sharing that, mate. I know it's going to certainly empower someone else that's out there going through a similar circumstance to know that it's going to be okay at the back end of it.
Yeah.
That was a belter podcast. Fucking great. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Righto,
Thanks
see you
for
later.
having me.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye, Felicia.